رجعوني عليك لأيام اللي راحوا، علمونا ندم على الماضي وجراحه. اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا، عمري ضايع يحسبوا ازاي عليا. اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا، عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا. اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا، عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا. اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك.
I don't care where I go when I'm with you. When I cry, you don't laugh, 'cause you know me. I'm in you, you're in me. I'm in you, you're in me. 'Cause you gave me the love that I never had. Yes, you gave me the love that I never had. I'm in you, you're in me. I'm in you, you're in me. 'Cause you gave me the love that I never had. You gave me the love that I never had.
My mother told me that her grandfather on her father's side, someone who, as I understand it, was a bit of a rough around the edges kind of man and didn't generously give out compliments unless they were really deserved, used to say to her when she was a little girl, "Valentine, each one of your fingers is like 10 women." It's amazing that he could tell that about her as a little girl, because that describes my mother so well, as I know her as a grown woman. Her mother once told her that she was running, not just walking, but running by the age of 9 months. Knowing her, that's completely believable. Her father, who was balding on top of his head, used to have her stand on his head when she was only about 3 years old, and he would let go of her hands, and she would hold them out as a show for all the people who came over. And I asked her, "Weren't you scared?" And she said, "Nope." That's probably because my mother naturally had grit. She had guts, and she modeled that for me and my sister. She had to learn how to be strong from a very young age, being one of 9 and having to fend for herself right from the start. With so many children, and back in that time, there really was no choice other than to be tough. Her mother had 11 children. The eldest boy was Sammy, then came a girl named Shoshana. Then came twin girls, Daisy and Marilyn, who died very, very young. Then came my mother, and after her, her brother Yossi, and sister Rachel, then brother Avi, sister Judy, brother Herzl, and sister Ora. When she was a little girl, she told me they didn't have enough money for toys, but like most little girls, she wanted a doll. One day, the girl across the street was throwing out her doll because it was missing an eye, and she offered it to my mom. My mom said it was such a happy day. She didn't care that the doll was missing an eye. She finally had a doll, and she loved it so much, and she played with it so much, and she hoped one day she would have little girls that she could dress up and treat like little dolls. When my mother was older, she had to work from the time she was around 15. Her and her older siblings would work and then go out all night dancing with their friends. My mom said she loved to dance. She would dance the night away with her brother Yossi, her friends Edmund and Alana. They would dance to songs like La Bamba and the Greek singer and guitar player Ari San, who had a nightclub in Israel at the time. When she would talk about these things, her whole face would light up. My mother was such a social butterfly, and I'm sure that those were some of the happiest times of her life, other than when she had me and my sister. My mother was such a dynamo. I still can't wrap my head around all the things that she did all at once, with a smile on her face, and never complained. You would never know, looking at her, how hard she was always working and how many things she was juggling at once. At one point, she would drive my father to the train station in the morning, come back, then drive my sister and I to school, then go straight to work, and she was a seamstress and a fitter, so it was a very physical job. Then she would leave on her lunch break, come home to walk the dog, go back to work, finish up there, and then pick up my father from the train station and come home. And we didn't have a housekeeper, so she was also cooking incredibly delicious meals and cleaning on her days off. I feel so guilty looking back, but I had no concept that this was something very difficult because of the way she was. She was always looking happy and determined and strong. But if I could go back in time, I would have helped her so much more. My mother not only had the most beautiful singing voice, but her laugh and her speaking voice were so musical and sweet. And my goodness, she was so, so beautiful. When I was a little girl, I remember staring at her when she would be getting ready in the mirror, teasing her hair out, putting on lipstick and eye makeup, and thinking that she looked like a life-size brunette Barbie doll. My father is an incredibly sweet man, but he can be very shy. My mother gave him a greater connection to the world, Because of her, he had a robust social life and had direction and purpose and a family. There were a couple of years that my father didn't work because his longtime company had been bought out and the more senior people were let go. My mother worked her regular job and then 2 other part-time jobs on the side and let my father take his time to find a job that he liked. When my sister had her babies, my mother and father were at her house from morning until evening on all the days that she wasn't at our house with her babies. And after my mom would leave her house in the evening, her and my sister would be on the phone talking to each other. The 3 of us could not get enough of each other's company. My mom, my sister, and I were all best friends. I would tell my mother in the hospital, "You're like the tree, and me and Laura are branches from that tree. So we'll never be apart." In the hospital, all different levels of staff told me throughout the 16 months that I was constantly there day and night, sleeping on a chair and only going home every few days for a couple of hours to do things for my dad and take a shower. They said they had never seen in all their years someone do all of this for somebody, that they had seen some very devoted family members, but that they had never seen something like this, and they complimented me. And honestly, I thought it was strange. I still think it's strange when people compliment me on how devoted and constant I was taking care of my mom all by myself, in the hospital and then at home, leaving the job I loved to do so without hesitation. I think it's strange because I can't imagine doing anything different. I had a mother that would have done the exact same thing for me, so that's all I know. The love between my mother and my sister and our devotion was never at any time an obligation or a hardship. It comes from inside, and again, we just don't know any different. That's how we are with each other, and in my family, and this goes for my father as well, when one of us needs help, the other do not abandon their post, wouldn't even dream of it. And it wasn't any different when my sister was sick. We did the same thing. We took care of her the same way, day and night. That's just what we do. That comes from my mama. I would always refer to my mother as my battle buddy. We never cowered when the going got tough. For example, when we had to put our dog to sleep, my father and sister were crying and they said, "We can't go in there. We can't do it. It's too horrible." My mother and I looked at each other, rolled up our sleeves, and said, "We're going in." And my mother held our dog while I petted her and kissed her face while she was being put to sleep. And then the last 2 weeks of my sister's life, when everyone else who was there all day at the hospital left to do what most people would do in that case, go sleep in a bed, go take a shower, go get something decent to eat. My mother and I stayed every night without fail, sleeping, sitting up on the floor of the waiting room. I think we left once or twice in that time to take a shower. But again, we don't do this for admiration or for thank yous. We do it because of the incredible love and devotion we have for each other. And for all the well-meaning people who keep praising the constant care I was giving to my mother, I've told some of them, and I'll say it again now, however incredibly difficult all of this was, it pales in comparison to what my mother had to go through. She's the one that deserves your praise. She's the one that deserves to be called a hero. I have never seen anyone fight this hard for anything in my entire life. She fought to live, and she gained 1.5 years that most people that are even much younger than her and much healthier than her would not have survived. What she went through physically and mentally during the months she repeatedly was in the ICUs, when just about every doctor had said to me, 4 different hospital admissions in this time, that there is no chance your mother will come out of this. But my mother loved life. She loved to be alive, and she did not want to be away from me and my dad and her grandchildren, Jared and James. So she chose to suffer however much she had to get better, to come home. And how can anyone expect that I wouldn't go shoulder to shoulder with her while she does that. Yes, it was beyond difficult for me, but what I went through was nothing compared to what she did. And she fought right up until the very end. Each day, toward the end, the doctor would say, I know I keep telling you this, but it could just be a few hours at this point. And then I would say under my breath, Mom, they don't know you. I know you. And then the next day would come and she was still there. I was so proud of her until the last second. She went out like a warrior. She went out like a great queen. For anyone who loves her, if it makes you feel any better to know, I can assure you that no one has ever had more kisses, caresses, massages, assurances, or songs sung to them in their last 16 months than my mother did. And it didn't come from hired help. It was from the person she most wanted to be with and who most wanted to be with her. Towards the very end, I convinced the hospital staff to turn off the bed alarm and keep my mom to one side so that I could get in and hold her. This was during the last few days. I felt my mom would go the night that she did go, and on that night I stayed the whole time in her bed holding her. I just asked her to let us get through the night. And somehow, some way, she granted me that. And she waited until the clock struck 5 a.m., and that's exactly when she transitioned. I told her that we had to be brave and that she was going directly from my arms into my sister Laura's, so she'll be okay. My sister generously waited 21 and a half years for my mother to join her. Thank you, Laura. I know you will both watch over me, Jared, James, and my father.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining, and I feel that when I'm ready, it's alright. I know it's right to